Hello, everybody. I'm Rebecca West. I am a SCORE volunteer, and in theory, everybody is here because you want to work on creating a quick business plan for your business using the Lean Canvas model. So that is what we're going to be doing here today. I'm going to get my screen sharing started here. All righty, here we go. So like I said, we are here to work on our quick business plan basics using the Lean Canvas model. I am a SCORE volunteer with the Greater Seattle SCORE chapter. My name is Rebecca West, and I am a fellow business person. I will tell you a little bit more about myself in just a moment. Let's get started here. Most importantly, what are we trying to do? Our workshop objectives are to start the business planning process. A lot of stuff is going to happen between when you have a business idea and when you actually launch a business, and this is one of those steps. In 1 hour today, we're going to try and help you. I'm going to try and give you some of the tools you need to map out your business plan. As I dive into it, you're going to learn that there's a couple different versions of business plans, and this is one version of them, but it is a great place to start the business planning process. We are going to be going quick, and that is a good thing because it helps you avoid overthinking, which is something that gets in the way of a lot of people who want to start a business. So we're going to avoid overthinking and just get your thoughts down on paper in a usable format. As we go along today, if you have any questions, just pop those into the chat box. I will be monitoring the chat box and answering as we go. So like I said, if you have any questions, just pop those into the chat box. You can look for that now. I will answer them as we go. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to have you engage with your voice or video, so it will all be via the chat box. You will also want to make sure that you have a copy of the Lean Canvas to fill out as we go through. Now, if you don't have a copy, for some reason there was a technical glitch for you, it's okay. We're going to go through this very methodically, and you can take regular notes on your device or on paper, and you'll be able to fill out a version of this Lean Canvas later. You can also go online and Google the Lean Canvas template, and you'll find a ton of versions of this. It's everywhere out there. So there's a lot of different ways to get your hands on this handout. If you have a copy of it, we're going to be filling it out as we go along. If you don't, like I said, just take some good notes. You'll be able to use the template later. So who the heck is talking to you? This is me. I'm Rebecca West. As I said, I'm a volunteer with SCORE. I'm a small business mentor and a workshop presenter. Professionally, I am the CEO of a residential interior design firm called Seriously Happy Homes in Seattle. I've been in business for 13 years. I lead a team of 6 people. We have an office in Green Lake. I am also a business coach to my fellow interior designers and other creatives through my company, Seriously Happy Coaching and Consulting. And whether I am volunteering with SCORE or helping people with their homes or coaching people on their interior design businesses, what I try to always do is turn big goals into actionable, practical, chewable steps. And that's what I'm hoping our work here today does for you too. It takes these big ideas that you have and turns them into an actionable to-do list that you can take the next steps on. You also want to meet the dude because we're going to be using the dude today to talk about theoretical businesses so you can apply these concepts I'm talking about today to your own business. He's here to help you make decisions and create plans for your new business. And he's going to have 4 different kinds of businesses that we will sample from today. A retail product business, which is his chili parlor, a personal service business, which would be a school of roping and writing, an online business, which would be the dude's online world of chili, and a retail and wholesale product business, which is the dude's indestructible all-weather cowboy hat. We will use these fictitious companies to provide examples of how a typical business might make decisions and create plans as we go through the process today. Now, you probably already know this, but unfortunately, according to SBA data, SBA is the Small Business Administration, about 50% of small businesses fail within about 5 years. And that is a little bit terrifying to know, right? Because it kind of can feel like the odds are against you sometimes. But there's a lot that you can do to put the odds in your favor. A lot of these businesses fail because they don't have enough of a cash cushion to sustain their business through those early months or years. They might have a poor marketing strategy, so they have a great idea, but they don't have a good way to get that idea out in front of their ideal customers. They might have a poor revenue or cost model, right? So they might have a great idea. They might even have a great marketing plan, but what it costs to produce and get that product to their customers might not pencil out with what they're bringing in for revenue. Or they have poor management and operational control, right? So things like you have a team, but you're not a good boss. You're not managing your team well. You don't have standard operating procedures and stuff like that in place to make a robust company. So these are all reasons why a company might fail and why 50% of small businesses go out of business. Also, there's just the fact that a lot of people wear out. It is exhausting to be an entrepreneur. If you are doing this and you feel like you're always running, that's really common. And that work-life balance is one of the things that you have to navigate to figure out if being an entrepreneur is a fit for you. But if it is, as a fellow business person, I can tell you that there's nothing as exhilarating as being in charge of your own destiny and running a company and offering something of value to the world. It's pretty amazing. And the struggle and the effort can be very, very worthwhile. In order to put the odds in your favor, of course, you need good business planning, which is why you're here today. It helps you manage risk when starting a business. You can't make it risk-free, but you can certainly stack the odds in your favor. That is by planning. There are 3 different kinds of business plans that you could put together as you're starting your business. There are quick business plans, there are detailed business plans, and there are formal business plans. A lot of times when people think about business plans, they're actually thinking about those formal business plans. They're like 300-page documents and they've got a table of contents and all kinds of stuff. You might need that. You might not. What everybody needs is at least a quick plan, the thing we're here to do today. This is where we pencil out, sort of like in a bullet point format or an outline format, the nuts and bolts of your business idea, just to make sure that you can address all the things that are going to need to be addressed and that you have a fully developed concept. From there, most people should do a little bit more detailed planning. You want to take the bullet points that you create during your quick planning and flesh it out. There are some companies that will also need that formal business plan, and that is when you really need to be able to show somebody how the money is going to work in your company. So like if you're trying to finance a big property, ask for a big loan from a bank or anything along those lines, they are going to want that very detailed formal business plan with a table of contents and everything shown, all the math. But if you're not actually putting a lot of your own or somebody else's money at risk, you may not need to go through that process of doing a formal business plan. So how much planning do you need? Like I said, everybody should be doing some quick planning. You already know that because you're here today. Many people, everybody, I should say, are going to have some level of detailed planning. How much you need depends on the complexity of your business. And that formal business plan is really if any substantial amount of money is at risk, if you need significant funding to start your business, and especially if that funding is going to come from an external source like a bank, because they'll just simply require that you have this formal document. It's a really good plan to do this if you're going to get a physical site like a big warehouse, a big building lease, or if you have a complex product or business, and especially if you're going to have a big team of employees right out the starting gate, you want to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row because you're putting your livelihood and other people's livelihood at risk. A quick note on SCORE and how the SCORE Essential Business Workshops can help you launch your business. If you're new to SCORE, I want you to just know that there are mentors who can work with you one-on-one, and that mentoring is free. I wish I had taken advantage of that when I was a new entrepreneur 13 years ago. I didn't. Live and learn, right? And then there are also the workshops. The workshops are not free. They're usually somewhere between $30, $50, or maybe $100, depending on the length and content of the workshop. The workshops and the mentoring are meant to go hand in hand. So after today's workshop, if you don't already have a mentor, I recommend that you reach out to your local SCORE office and see about getting a mentor, because they can take the broad content that we're going to talk about today and help you focus it directly on your business and apply it to your business. And of course, if you do already have a mentor, same thing, take what we do today and go work with your mentor to apply it directly to your business plan or business idea. Okay, so that's all the introduction stuff out of the way, and now it is time to actually work on the quick business plan, also known as the Lean Canvas worksheet. As I said earlier, if you have a worksheet, grab it. If you don't, just take good notes, and you can definitely fill out the worksheet in this format later. So what is the Lean Canvas? It is a quick planning tool or technique that is meant to help startups just make sure that, like I said, they've got a fleshed out business idea. It's based upon the business model Canvas, but it's more product focused, product and service focused instead of tech focused. And it's a tool for helping you quickly test, verify, and modify your business ideas. It helps you start out with an organized, detailed planning process. So you're not just having all these shiny objects and you're like, I don't know how to organize all of this. This helps you get it organized. It also helps you align whatever your business idea with the problem that your clients might be having, right? We need to make sure that this great idea that you have is actually going to solve a problem that people think they have, so that the marketing of these things will actually work. And it helps you start to figure out if you can make money from your business, because if you're not making an income from your business, it's just a hobby, and that's okay. But when we think about a business, the business should have a business model that is profitable at the end of the day. The Lean Canvas is only one page because it's meant to be brief. It's meant to be like brainstorming. It's meant to be high level. It's meant to help you remember that you can't make mistakes in this part of the process. It's also going to create a list of items that need further research. This isn't meant to give you all the answers. It's meant to give you all the questions so that you know what answers you need to look for next. And then when it's done, it's one page, which means it's a business plan at a glance. So that with just a few bullet points in each box, you can make sure that you're able to go back to that one page template over and over again as you make further decisions for your company, and not have to flip through a 300-page document, which honestly, very few people ever open those long business plans after they create them. They create them to get money from the bank, and then they collect dust for the rest of time. We want this to be a living document, something you return to, you put it up on your pin board, and you look at it every day to make sure you're on target with the goals and plans that you have set in motion. So now let's start filling out this Lean Canvas. It has 9 blocks to it, and we're going to talk about each of them in turn, starting with the first 2. The first 2 blocks in the Lean Canvas, the first one says problem. Second one says solution. This is where I want you to think about, first of all, the top 3 problems your customers have. What are you trying to solve for people? What are they sitting at home or at work struggling with, right? This is you getting into your customer's head and going, this is what they're Googling at night, trying to figure out. What, maybe you're offering a health and wellness product. What are the health and wellness struggles that your client has? Maybe you're offering a business solution. What are the business problems that your client has? Those top 3 problems that you're solving, those go in the first box of your Lean Canvas worksheet. The second box, the solution, are the ways in which your service or your product directly solves the problem. And we're going to give you some examples of this in a little bit. But these are the first 2 boxes. So first one, the problem. When you think about your clients and who you're going to help, what are the problems that they're Googling at night trying to solve? Just 3 of them. And number 2, what is the way in which your service or your product directly solves those problems that they're having? Now, in some versions of the Lean Canvas, you're going to notice that there's a second little subset section right here, and it says alternative solutions. So when you're also thinking about your business, you want to think about how people out there are already solving these problems. Like, let's say you were offering a weight loss solution of some kind. Well, you might say that the problems that my customers are having is that they want to be fit for a special event. They've got a deadline coming and they want to be fit for it. They want to improve their overall health so that they can go on some kind of a strenuous adventure. or they want to be fit in order to extend their life. Okay, so what is it that's top of their mind? Maybe they have some sort of a health condition that makes it really, really hard for them to exercise, but they still want to be fit. So you're thinking through those problems, and then you're thinking through your colleagues or your competitors, like how are these problems already being solved? You might be thinking about Weight Watchers or Noom or some of these other programs that are out there. Okay, so that's in the problem and who's already solving the problem. The solution is, how are you uniquely solving the problem? What are you offering that directly addresses the concerns that your clients are having in a way that's different from your colleagues and competitors? When we think about the problem, like I said, it's the top 3 customer problems and the alternatives that are already out there. That's that first box. The customer problem, you want to, if you're having trouble really getting your head around the true problem your client is having. So sometimes if I'm working with somebody who's got that health and wellness solution, they'll go, the problem my customer has is they want to lose weight. Okay, but the thing is that that's not the underlying problem, right? So when you're trying to get to the underlying problem, one of the techniques you can use is to think like a toddler and just keep asking yourself, why? Well, why do they want to lose weight? Because they, don't feel good about their current weight. Okay, well, why don't they feel good about it? What's changed? Why do they want to go on a diet now? Oh, because their sister's having a wedding and they want to fit into the maid of honor dress. Okay, so that's creating some urgency. They've got a deadline that they want to meet. That problem that they don't fit into the maid of honor dress that they want to fit into is the real problem, not just the wanting to lose weight. So think like a toddler, ask why to get to the deeper question. And then also think about it from this perspective of, what is the job that the customer is really hiring you to do, right? So when you think about this, when I think about this from my own company, when I think about interior design, my customers, yes, they want me to bring experience to the table when I'm doing a kitchen remodel design, for example. But in reality, a lot of my clients know what they like. They can go on Pinterest and find rooms that they would love to have in their own home, but they don't have the time to figure out a whole new industry and figure out where to source tile or, how to pick a good contractor. And so the real problem is they don't have time. And so what I am solving for them is, how are they going to come up with a design solution for their new kitchen in a way that works with the life they're already living, right? Running their own job, raising their own children. So I'm saving them time. That is one of the things they're asking me for. So what is the job the customer's really hiring you to do can be a powerful thing to get under the problem your customer is having. And then, as I said, on some versions of the Lean Canvas, you'll see that little bonus part in that first box saying, what products or service alternatives or competitors are available to solve the problem right now? Because if you're not solving it in a unique way, you're going to have a heck of a time marketing your solution against all of the established solutions that are already out there. Then that second box, the solution, the top 3 aspects of your product or service that are going to solve the problem. You want to start with ignore this first part right here. This is from our longer workshop that we offer at SCORE. There's a 3-hour version of this workshop. So ignore that part. What are the top 3 tangible aspects of your product or service that solve the problems your customers have? Or you can think about it this way, what are the essential features of your product that are going to solve the problems your customer has? Over time, you're going to develop a bigger company, a bigger service, a bigger product. It's going to have more bells and whistles and more features. But what are the core aspects of what you're offering that solve the underlying 3 problems your customer has? So we're going to use one of those fictional examples here, the Dude's Cowboy Chili Parlor. What are the customer problems that this dude was trying to solve? Well, he decided that there is a lack of informal family-style restaurants in downtown Bothell, where he lives. All right. He also discovered that there are very few restaurants that provide affordable, full ranges of food and drink options for the whole family. Now, he discovered that there are some alternatives if somebody was looking for informal family style restaurants somewhere in the area. There are some chain restaurants in malls or on interstate locations. So he wants to make sure that he's not just duplicating what's already out there. Well, what's the solution? He decides he's going to create a restaurant in Central Bothell with a family-friendly theme, and he's going to make sure it has affordable prices with a kids menu and a full bar. The alternatives he was looking at in the area are Applebee's, Chili's, Olive Garden, and he's going to, like I said, make sure he's not replicating the solutions that are already out there. All right. We're going to keep moving forward. Again, I'm condensing some information that's actually usually shared as part of a 3-hour workshop. But hopefully you're filling these out and thinking about these things as I say them. Go ahead and jot notes as I say them, as you think about what your customer's problem and your customer's solution is. Let's move into the third box, unique value proposition. This is sometimes aligned with what we also call your elevator pitch, right? How are you going to position yourself in a way that is unique in your marketplace? And ideally, your concept is so simple that you can turn it into a single, clear, compelling message that states why you're different and worth paying attention to. Like I said, on the problem box, you were thinking about who's already out there solving the problems that you intend to solve for your clients. In the solution box, you're identifying the 3 ways that you uniquely solve those problems for those same people. The unique value proposition is a statement that expresses why you're worth paying attention to, why you are a good alternative to the existing solutions already out there. In their 3-hour workshop, you'd be able to transfer that unique value right from the work we'd already be done, the work we'd already done, and refine it. But what you want to think about when you're creating this unique value proposition is what you're saying solving your customers' problems? Is the unique value proposition that you're creating, this elevator pitch, expressing what your clients get in terms of what they gain or lose as a result of experiencing your service or your product? And I'm going to get into some examples of this too, I promise. Here is one from the Dude's Cowboy Chili Parlor. So the problem was, well, there's a lack of informal family style restaurants in Bothell, and there are very few restaurants that are offering affordable options for every member of the family. The solution he came up with is a restaurant in Bothell that has a family-friendly theme and has affordable prices with both a kids menu and a full bar for the grown-ups. So how do we turn that into that kind of elevator pitch, that unique value proposition? In his case, he might say, well, I've created an easy to access, value priced family Tex-Mex dining. Oh, I said that horribly. I've created easily accessed, value priced family Tex-Mex dining in a fun cowboy experience right in the heart of Bothell. So it's not new information. He took the problem, he took the solution, and he combined them into one statement so that when somebody hears it, they're going, oh, I've been looking for that. Right? So when you think about that third box, you want to be creating a phrase that somebody hears and they go, I've been looking for that. As I said, in the 3-hour workshop, we create a unique value statement and we adapt that for this unique value proposition. And what it is in 3 parts, you're describing as easily as you can what it is that you sell, who it's for, and why I should care. And we're going to talk about the who it's for in just a second, right? So coming back to this chili parlor, my product or service is a chili parlor in an old-time saloon. And it's for families in Bothell who like Tex-Mex and dine out all the time. And the reason it's unique as compared to our competitors is that it's easy to get to. You don't have to get on the freeway. It's affordable, and everybody in the family is going to love it. It's not just good for grown-ups. It's not just good for kids. It's good for the whole family. And he has, or the dude has looked at his market and gone, this is unique. This is a problem people have. Currently, they're solving it in this way, and I am offering this new solution. So I want to give you a sneak peek into how that unique value proposition might turn into some of the other things you're going to be working on as you develop your business, specifically your marketing messaging, right? Because we're not creating marketing messaging today. You don't need these words to be perfectly smooth yet. You just need to identify as specifically as you can the customer problem, your solution, and how it's unique from your colleagues and competitors. But you will need to be turning that into a marketing message at some point. So for example, following the chili parlor that we've been talking about, that might turn into a advertisement or a billboard or something that says the Dude's Cowboy Chili Parlor, Bothel's Tex-Mex Cowboy Saloon, featuring a full menu for the kids and a full bar for the grown-ups. It's family owned and family friendly, right? So I didn't say anything different. I just massaged the words a little bit to make them more of a marketing message than something I might say to somebody comfortably in an elevator, right? But the same message is always there, whether it's tidied up and prettied up for marketing, or it's just in our heart at the core of what we understand our business to be. It also might turn into a networking message. For example, you're at some cocktail party and somebody says, what do you do? And you might say, oh, I own a Tex-Mex Cowboy Saloon in Bothell with cowboy themed cocktails for grown-ups and a full menu for the kids. It's right by the QFC. Have you seen it? So obviously it sounds a little canned and rehearsed because I'm reading this, but the idea is that you know what your business is about, you know what's exciting about it, what problems it's solving, and so you're able to express that in a conversational way because you've done the work on identifying what problems people in the city of Bothell were having when they were looking for affordable, family-friendly options for dining out, and now you can just express that wherever you are and whenever somebody asks. It'll also turn into your social media marketing, right? So let's say you were trying to plan out your Instagram feed for your new Cowboy Chili Saloon and parlor. Well, based on what we've already talked about, we know it needs to be family friendly. So I might make sure that I'm planning out posts that include cute pictures of kids, babies wrapped up as burritos. Not only invokes the idea that it's family friendly, but also has a nod to that Tex-Mex dining flavor. Margaritas, nod to the Tex-Mex, and also showing that it's grown-up friendly. Grown-ups having drinks, kid-friendly happy hour. Obviously word graphics tend to be part of our marketing. So it's kids and grown-ups. So these are examples of how what we're already working on can already start shaping out the work you're going to do later when it comes to marketing and messaging and branding. Okay, still with me? Problem, we talked about it. Solution, we talked about it. Unique value proposition, we talked about it. The fourth box on the lean canvas is the unfair advantage. This is the juiciest part of this whole lean canvas. It's the thing that can't be easily copied or bought. A lot of the things about your product or service may reflect or mirror or align with things that some of your colleagues and competitors are also offering, right? If you have a chili parlor, it's a restaurant. All your colleagues are also restaurants. So there's going to be a lot of things that are the same. But there's got to be something that isn't the same. There's got to be something that gives you an unfair advantage so that you can't just easily be overridden by somebody who's cheaper, especially cheaper. You never want to play the cheaper game. Anyway. So unfair advantage. It's something that can't be easily copied or bought. These are the things that make the product or the business difficult for competitors to match. These are the things that make it so that you don't have to defend your company because it's already hard for somebody else to compete with you in this area. So this is how you will defend against competition. And going back to that previous box, this is the juiciest thing that we have on this entire lean canvas template. So you want to make sure that it's reflected in that third box, that value proposition, because this is the thing that should be catching people's attention. And it is not easy to develop. it can take people a lot of brainstorming and working through to really come up with what is my unfair advantage. So consider it a challenge to develop it if you don't have it, and work with a mentor or at least a friend to brainstorm around this, because we're often too close to our own business ideas and we know our own faults too well to really clearly see the unfair advantage that we're bringing to the table. But you'll see a note here that says, this is my favorite. And that's because once you identify your unfair advantage, you don't have to feel like you're competing anymore. You can just do what you do and do it wonderfully and know that you're offering something of value to the world and not have to worry so much about your colleagues or competitors. And you can just focus on getting the message out there. So for example, if we take our dude and his online world of chili, so his online business, he might be saying, well, my unfair advantage is that I am a recognized expert and I have an encyclopedic, unique knowledge of sauces and chili from around the world. And that I have developed numerous personal relationships with manufacturers of sauces and chilies from around the world. So that experience, that longevity, those networks and relationships are something that would be really hard for somebody else to copy. And if they did copy it, it'd probably take them a while to do it. And by that point, you'd be so established that, again, you're not worried about your colleagues and competitors. So what is it about you that makes you unique in your industry? Okay, take a deep breath. We've talked about the first 4 boxes out of the 9 boxes that make up the lean canvas. I'm going to take a minute here. I want you to go through, bullet point some of these items, thinking about what are the 3 problems you're trying to solve for your customers? What are the 3 ways your product or service solves those problems? What is, jumping to the 4th box, your unfair advantage? What is it that's really hard for somebody else to copy or buy in order to compete with you? And in a very brief form, because like I said, we usually spend a full hour working on that unique value proposition at the start of this workshop. Tell me in layman's terms, why are you worth paying attention to in the marketplace that you are going to be occupying? I'm going to give you a minute. If you're not already doing it, if you have questions as we go along, like I said, pop those into the chat box. I am happy to answer them as we go along. Just about 30 more seconds here to just jot down any additional notes you want on the first 4 boxes that we've been going over. Okay, let's keep going. So the next box, the 5th box, is segments and channels. Your customer segments, also known as your target customers. As you well know, there's a lot of different words people use for these things. Doesn't matter what you call them. These are the people that you are trying to help. And this box is about who those people actually are. So what you want to do is describe the purchaser who is most likely to purchase your product first. And the reason I say it that way is because a lot of people have a problem and they're like, oh, my product can help anybody. I remember this one time that somebody who was marketing a skincare product said at a networking event, my product can help anybody with skin. And it got a good laugh out of the audience. And that was nice because humor is very memorable. But if you are trying to market to everybody, you had better have the world's biggest marketing budget, because that you're going to be spread really, really, really thin. Your marketing dollars are going to have to reach literally billions of people. That's not an effective way to approach marketing, especially when you're launching your company. So you want to think about who is the purchaser most likely to purchase your product first? Who are your early adopters? Those are your first target customers. From there, you can expand to anybody with skin, but you need to start with somebody unique. One of my favorite businesses I came across was a guy who was making jewelry for redheads. And it caught my attention because I'd never heard somebody be so specific. And I loved it because it was memorable. And I'm not a redhead, but what if I had a friend who was a redhead? It just caught my attention. It just stood out to me. Now, would his jewelry look good on people who weren't redheads? Probably. There's only like 3 main metals that you can make jewelry out of. I'm guessing that he uses a lot of green gemstones because red and green are beautiful complements to each other, but there are lots of people who would look amazing in jade or emerald or peridot jewelry. So could he have marketed to anybody who wears jewelry? Sure. Would that have been a much bigger marketing budget? You bet it would have been. By saying, I make jewelry for redheads, he can now, for example, join Facebook groups that target redheads, put out ads that target redheads, find hairdressers who maybe specialize in redheads, find personal stylists who specialize in redheads, or even who don't specialize in serving redheads, but might be willing to help him speak to their redhead customers, right? So try to get as focused and narrow as you possibly can. It is possible to go too narrow. The thing is, you're not going to, because nobody ever does. Everybody stays too broad. And if you stay too generic, it's going to be really, really hard to effectively market your product. So think about the early adopters. Who is a perfect fit, not a good fit, a perfect fit for your product, and focus on them first. Then the next box on that lean canvas is channels. So segments are the people. Channels are how you're going to get to those people, the paths to those customers. How are you going to communicate your unique advantage to those potential customers? What methods are you going to use to promote your product? And of course, do they work with the people you're trying to reach? So you need to make sure that the channels that you've had in mind for how you're going to reach people align with the people you're trying to reach. If you're trying to reach a more mature audience, then Facebook might be a good fit, because at this point, they say that Facebook is used mostly by people 30 and older. If you're trying to reach a younger demographic, Facebook might not be your best bet. I'm not saying it isn't. You have to look at the statistics, but maybe TikTok is your place to hang out, right? So the channels, the paths to the customers are where you're going to put your marketing message. Are you going to cold call people? Are you going to go to networking events? Are you going to put things on Facebook? Are you going to put a billboard? Are you going to put your name on a bench? Those are the paths to your customer segments, which, as I said, are the people who are going to buy from you ideally first. So if we talk about the Dude's School of Roping and Riding, his target customers would be people who own horses within 25 miles of Bothell. Now, he could have said people who own horses and been more generic, but that would have made his marketing much less targeted. And his early adopters, getting even more focused, are first-time horse owners. So it's first-time horse owners within 25 miles of Bothell. That's where he's going to start putting his energy first as he launches this business. And then he thinks about his channel. So he's said, okay, well, I'm going to work with local stable owners, horse breeders, and tack shops. I'm going to attend related festivals and fairs. And of course, I'm going to create a customer referral program, because people who own horses probably know other people who own horses. So those are 3 ways that he might be thinking he's going to get in front of the eyeballs of his perfect customers. And his early perfect customers are going to be first-time horse owners who live within 25 miles of Bothell. Okay, again, I know I'm going quick, but I want you to understand what all these boxes are for, and then you can come back and think through them one at a time. Key metrics is next. So we've talked about the problem that your clients have. We've talked about the solution that you're offering. We've talked about why you're worth paying attention to in what is probably already a crowded marketplace. We've talked about the unfair advantage. That means you're not going to have to defend your territory because it's hard to copy or buy. We've talked about who it is you're trying to serve, those early adopters, people your service or product is a perfect fit for, and how you're going to get in front of them. Now, what are you going to measure? Key metrics. I wish I had known about key metrics a little bit earlier in my company, back when it would have been easier to start measuring things. A lot of people think of key metrics as just like your profit and loss statement or your income statement, your P&L, all the same, all different words for the same thing. That is important to pay attention to, but this is past just the bottom line of money in, money out. These are the other things you need to measure as well. Like I said, start this early while it's easy. Trust me. If I had started, for example, tracking in my interior design company, how many inquiries I got each month, then, and again, I've been in business for 13 years and I've only been tracking these things for about 4 years, maybe, which is embarrassing to say, but we're all learning. If I had started tracking that day one, I would have had a much earlier concept of what's my seasonality? When do I get most of my inquiries? What are people inquiring about at what times of the year? I could have tracked all of that when I only had 3 customers, but it didn't seem important at the time. But then I would have had historical data that I could draw on and use to make strategic decisions down the road. So start it early while it's easy. You'll thank me later. And like it says here, how will you measure success other than your financial statements? How will you know you're being successful separate from your financial statements? So, for example, if the dude was opening his cowboy chili parlor, he might be measuring the number of customers per serving at lunch and at dinner, the average total sales per customer, the average beverage sales per customer, and the percent of premium entrees sold per serving. Just some examples, right? Because obviously in the food industry, you really need to keep track of how quickly your food moves in and out of your restaurant so that you're not losing a ton of money to waste. I know this is quick. Are you hanging in there? Hope you're doing good. If you're having questions, keep popping them in the chat box. I'll answer them as I am able to. All right, so we just breezed through customer segments, channels. Those are the people you're helping. Those are how you're getting in front of their eyeballs, and what you're going to measure as you go along in your company to make sure that you're meeting the success goals that you need to meet in order to make this a sustainable business. So last but not least, it's the money, right? The money, the whole point of being in business. If you're not making money at some point, it's a hobby. That's okay. Just know what you're getting yourself involved in. Number 1, or the 6th box, cost structure. Okay, so cost structure, we're not going to worry about on the lean canvas putting actual numbers down. What we're putting down is the bullet points of the things that we need to do some further analysis on. So cost structure is the money that's going to flow out. What will it cost you to start and then run your business? So customer acquisition costs, what does it cost you to get each customer? That can be something, for example, like your marketing budget, the cost it's going to be to pay per click to get each customer. How much does it cost you to get your customers might also include the time it's going to take to onboard somebody, or the welcome gift that you send them. I don't know. You also need to think about distribution costs. What's it cost to get that product to your customers? So maybe that's simply you driving to their house, the wear and tear on your car and the mileage and the gas, or maybe it's shipping costs if you're sending them a product. And of course, your people, whether even if it's just you need to be paid. And if you have a team, you definitely have to pay them. So those are the costs of what it costs to start and then run your business. There are other workshops that will go into this much more deeply. Both building a formal business plan and the managing finances for a one-person business will go much more deeply into this cost structure conversation. So for now, just list the items you're going to need funding for to start your business. Do not estimate the numbers. They're not important for this exercise. So for example, building and site improvements, equipment and furnishings, inventory, opening costs, those are the things you need to open your doors at all. Then next thing is to list the items that will be part of your monthly fixed costs. So rent, salaries, utilities, bookkeeping, anything that you know is a regular, accountable thing that you're going to be paying every single month. And then the third part is list the items that will be part of your product or services variable costs, the numbers that might change from month to month. So that might be, for example, if you have a restaurant industry, the amount of food and beverages that you sell might really vary from month to month, especially if you have a destination that's really hopping at the holidays, for example. You also might have contractors that you only pay when you have a certain amount of business. So that's going to be, those are variable costs that are not the same from month to month. So if it was the Dude's Cowboy Chili Parlor, he might be bullet pointing his startup costs to include the building and site improvements, the equipment and furnishings for the chili parlor, that starting food and liquor inventory, and the salaries for training his staff, because they're going to expect to be paid, even though you don't have any revenue coming in yet. Like I said earlier, 50% of businesses fail, and sometimes that's because they don't have enough of a cash cushion at the start to get them from when all that money is flowing out to the moment when money starts finally flowing in. Then he might list items that will be part of the monthly fixed costs: rent, salaries, utilities, bookkeeping, like I said earlier. And then those variable costs for that chili parlor will be those food and liquor costs. Okay, coming to the close of the Lean Canvas with that final box, the revenue stream, the fun one. This is the money flowing into your bank account. So exciting. So this is all about, how are you going to structure the pricing for your business? How are you going to charge for your product or your service? Again, those other workshops will go much more into detail about your revenue stream. But for example, with the Dude's School of Roping and Riding, he might be thinking, all right, on average, I want to make $100 an hour for my work. But I'm going to have multi-month training plans that are going to give discounts on longer contracts, right? So maybe to the customer, it's going to look like you only pay 90 bucks an hour for these sessions. And on single hour engagements, I'm going to charge 150 bucks. And that's because he's evaluating like how much it costs to get every single customer. And so it costs more to, every customer costs money to get. So if one customer is willing to buy, say, 10 sessions at a time, then you can give them a break because there's a lower acquisition cost that is going out the door, and you'll still be able to hit your targeted $100 an hour, even though it looks like you're giving a discount to the client, because they're saving you time and money. That's just a quick example of how you got to think through how you're going to charge for your product or service so that you're getting the revenue that you need to balance out the cost that's going out the door. Whew. All right, that was the money part of this whole thing. Cost, that's the monies that'll flow out, the big chunk of money that you need to flow out to start up your business, and the ongoing chunks of money that are going to flow out to sustain your business. And the revenue stream, how are you going to bring money in? How are you going to set up the fees for your product or your service so that you create a sustainable business? If you fill out bullet points for those 9 boxes, you will have a high-level draft business plan. So congratulations. Now, we went really quick today, so I don't know that you have actually filled out the draft business plan right now, but I hope that you print out a few copies of the Lean Canvas and go through that exercise. Don't judge yourself. Don't worry about getting the answers right or wrong. Just brain dump it onto the page, and then go work with your mentor to refine those bullet points and start figuring out how you're going to get answers to some of the things you don't have answers to yet. I promise that once you do flesh this out, you'll have a one-page business plan that you can keep going back to as you then flesh out your marketing plan and get your business launched. And it can keep you on target when you have shiny object syndrome and you're like, oh, here's another business idea, because you can fill this out again for the new business idea and make sure that you're able to fill out all 9 boxes. If any of the boxes are too mushy or they're blank, it means you don't have a concrete business idea yet, and you're going to want to dig in deeper before you start putting any money or time on the line. So what's next? You've got a lean canvas. Well, you still have a lot of important decisions and critical plans to make. You need to then go into that more detailed planning. So if you feel like, okay, this is a good start, but I can't launch my business. No, you probably can't. So go work with your mentor to take what we've talked about and make it more specific to your business, and consider going to some of the more in-depth workshops so that you can flesh out some of the deeper details of each of these boxes. So I will be hanging out until 2 p.m. to answer any questions that you have. Like I said, we don't have the ability today to do that by voice or video. So just make sure that you're popping your questions into the chat box, and I will be answering them as we go. And I'll be here until our time runs out. I hope this was very, very helpful, and I look forward to hearing about your wonderful businesses. Some people do like to ask if I'm available for business mentoring. I am not personally available for one-to-one mentoring right now, thanks to my really busy schedule, but there are many amazing and qualified volunteers at SCORE who would be amazing mentors and help guide you on the journey to having your own successful business. Thank you so much for your time today, and I wish you all the best on your small business journey. This has been brought to you by the SBA and SCORE. Bye for now, everybody.